Hey everybody, welcome back. Thanks for joining me here on another video. It's a cold Cincinnati day today here, snowing outside, but we're back in the garage and we're gonna work on the GS550 again. So last time we finished up, we were gonna plan on making a seat pan in this episode. As it turns out, I had a buddy come over and we went a little further into digging into the carburetors, tore them way down to their component pieces, used the ultrasonic cleaner back there to get them really clean. I ordered some replacement parts. I got some new jets that I'm replacing to account for aftermarket exhaust, pod filters. It requires a rejet. You know, on modern bikes, you've reflashed the ECU. This bike from '77 doesn't have an ECU, so you have to manually fix the fueling for any type of aftermarket adjustments that you're making. Anyhow, so we're going to put in the new jets. We are going to show you the kit, what comes in the kit, what I used, what I did not use, and why. And then we'll just go over what it looks like to put them back together. So I've already got this one that I put back together for the most part, except for the slide in the top. I will show you that because we are fixing the fueling and everything and trying to accommodate for the changes that we're planning to make, I have to raise the E-clip or C-clip or whatever it is on the slide. There's a needle in that slide and I have to raise that clip one position on it to help account for that different fuel mapping, and we'll show you what that looks like. I also wanted to say a big thanks to Bob Pearson from the Cincinnati Cafe Racer Club. One of the things that I had mentioned on the previous video was that we had plenty of clearance left on the valves. He let me know that, hey dude, it's time to re-shim because valve clearances tighten up over time. They don't get looser. So thanks again, and we're gonna make sure we get the correct shims ordered and aim for, as he suggests, a 0.06, which is kind of like a nice medium in between on the specification. So that just goes to show how helpful this kind of motorcycle community can be. If you are one of the tens of people who subscribe and watch these videos and you see something that I'm doing incorrectly, please feel free to chime in, make a comment. I'm not gonna be offended. I'm by no means an expert if you haven't figured that out by now. I'm just kind of doing this and learning as I go along. So other than that, we're going to jump in these carbs and get started and start putting the jets back in. All right, so here we have our kit that I purchased. These kits were fairly cheap. I really got them for the gaskets here since I didn't want to pay all the extra money they were charging for the gaskets in some other places. The nice thing is it also came with the needle here, came with a stock size main jet, stock size pilot jet. This is an adjustment screw that goes on the outside of the carb body. I also scavenged the tiny little O-rings from this piece and from a couple of other pieces on here. You can see the little E-clip or C-clip or whatever it is. These are the jets that I got from Jets R Us. These are Mikuni OEM jets, and so I replaced the stockers to account for the fuel change. Went up from a 15 to a 17.5 on the slow jet, and I went from an 80 to an 87.5 on the main jet. Just to show you real quick some of the other stuff that comes in one of these kits. Some additional O-rings. You got your needle jet that comes in there. There's an extra spring in there. So they give you a lot of stuff in this kit, and it was fairly cheap. I would imagine that if I weren't getting all of the Mikuni OEM jets, that these would probably work out. Like, I looked at the jets and they look really similar to what the Mikuni OEM are. I know there's tiny differences that can make a big difference down the line. You'll see in one of the videos, or in one of the shots, that I had to drill out this. This was one of the, what we call like a secondary main or a medium jet. This was a 50. It was stuck in the orifice and I hadn't tried to apply heat to it. So the flathead screw surface got stripped out. I tried to stick an extractor bit in there, and that broke off, and so I had to try to use a drill press. The drill press wouldn't work because the extractor bit was too hard. I ended up having to use a Dremel to get this guy out, and then a bigger extractor bit, and I was able to get it out. I was pretty terrified that it would be stuck in there forever, but got it out. All right, so this is one of the carbs that I already put back together. Let's just pop this float back off real quick. I haven't adjusted the float yet. I'll use my vernier caliper. You measure that from this surface here and measure how high it is, but just want to kind of show you here what's going on the inside. So on this carb, here's the jet. This is a sort of a slow jet that they told you not to mess with. I messed with it because I didn't see it in the book until after I messed with it and took it apart and stuck it in the ultrasonic cleaner. So I'll do some research in terms of how to get this bad boy set the right way. This on top is the main jet, and then there's I forget what they call it on the bottom that has a bunch of little holes in it, really similar to the pilot jets. I don't know if you can see those tiny holes in there, but that's where sort of the fuel gets pulled through and sort of atomizes, or before it goes into the cylinder. So this part here on the bottom of that main jet actually threads in, and then the main jet threads into it. And then over here you have, is that the medium jet? Yeah, that's the mid jet. So this is the one I had to drill out. That's the size 50, and that's still stock. Underneath here is the slow jet, and it's a 17.5 now. Then you got your needle jet here, and that's what the float acts on. So when the float lifts up, when it's full enough, so this is upside down, but when the float lifts up enough, that little tab in the middle presses down on this spring-loaded piece here, and it lets it know that's enough fuel for now. So now we have to measure the heights of the floats here, and then we can set them that way. So we're going to take our caliper here, and we have to measure the height of the float as it sits off of the edge of this gasket surface here, to make sure that we can get them up to 26 millimeters. And then we can put the gaskets and the float bolts on. We'll get going on that. All right, yeah, so here we go. Got them all finished up. I think they look really good with these black bowls and the black covers on the top. I think I learned a lot by disassembling, cleaning, and putting these back together. I definitely have a better understanding of how these work. There's definitely some intricacies that I'm not familiar with. For instance, these screws down here, these adjuster screws, the manual said don't touch these, leave them as they were from the factory. I read that after I took it apart, so I mean, I've done a little bit of research and there's a way to set them back up, but I think that's going to be a part that I have to tweak. The sort of idle position screw, this thing is, even when it's screwed all the way in, it's not actually making contact with this thing, which is supposed to be sort of how it holds it open a little bit. So I got to figure out what's up with that. And then this this screw on the back, I have no idea what this screw is for. It's just in there as far as I know. It's just another screw. But so a little bit more research, but for the most part I learned a ton. And I think I'm pretty happy with the progress. All right, well, that's gonna do it for this video. I think we're done here with the carbs, other than those adjustments that we talked about. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and make sure you share this with your friends and family so they can come and join in and watch the progress as well. I think now that we have the bench cleared off, we can actually go and do the seat pan for the next video. That was planned for this video, but having carburetor parts all over the bench doesn't really lend itself to fabricating with metal. So we'll wrap this one up. We'll get on the seat pan for the next one. Thanks for watching. We'll see you then.